So again, welcome to our September lunch break session. My name is Leanna Hoig. I'm the research technician with the Christmas Tree Council of Nova Scotia. And today I'm going to be talking about safe loading practices for Christmas trees. So our lunch break sessions are put on once a month. They're educational info sessions. They are put on via Zoom, as you would know, and then are later available on YouTube. So before I dive in, I'll just do a little presentation overview. So in terms of loading practices and safe loading practices, there's common hazards associated with that, and then we'll talk about minimizing those hazards as well. And then we'll do a safe loading practices recap. And where our team doesn't thoroughly research this topic, as we usually focus on infield practices before the trees are cut, I'm actually going to open it up to discussion for attendees here today and would be happy to take any comments or questions in terms of what could be added to this, because we'll also be producing a fact sheet on this as well. So before I get into common hazards, I just want to comment that every operation that you see throughout the province is going to be a little bit different. So everybody's at a different scale, everybody uses different management methods, and that would also include loading practices as well. So some growers that would have a U-cut operation or choose and cut, they would be loading a single tree onto a vehicle, and others that would be selling to retail or wholesale would be dealing with trees in the hundreds that would be going onto trailers as well. And although these are vastly different, the common goal here is to provide a safe environment for loading these trees, as well as providing a quality tree. Because within every step of the process for Christmas trees, the way that you handle them will increase the longevity as well as the quality of the tree itself. All right, so common hazards associated with loading Christmas trees, it begins with lack of training. So this could be with your drivers as well as loaders as well. You can have driver takeoff, which is exactly what the name describes, as drivers will take off before the load is completed and secured properly. You can also have creeping or movement of vehicles or trailers, and this is due to lack of parking brake engagement as well as properly stabilizing vehicles before they begin loading. You can also have falling cargo, which happens either if it's loaded incorrectly or it wasn't secured properly. You can have an accumulation of water, ice, and snow on your work sites. As we know, this time of year, we are going to be getting into loading, and with that, this time of the year the weather becomes variable. You can also have unneeded clutter and equipment around a work site that can cause hazards as well as decrease efficiency of work sites. And you can also have hazards associated with changes in elevation where you're moving the trees from the ground up to a trailer as well. So in terms of minimizing these hazards, you want to start with training employees. And this includes safe handling practices, so the ergonomics of it all. We all know that you want to lift with your legs and not your back. So if you can provide that proper training for employees, you're going to greatly reduce the risk of physical injury. You also want to ensure that employees are properly trained on how to secure cargo, as well as the safe unloading of Christmas trees as well. You want to provide equipment that is safe as well as has routine maintenance. You also want to ensure that there is great communication between your loading operators as well as your drivers. And if you have any other equipment that's not widely used, or you have slightly different practices, you want to ensure that you provide safety protocols for those. Minimizing hazards, again, you want to provide routine maintenance on all your equipment as well as your job sites, and this includes removing excess water, snow, and ice. Continuing minimizing hazards, ensure that parking brakes on vehicles are fully engaged and that these vehicles are stabilized before loading happens and before unloading happens as well. This time of the year, again, we have reduced sunlight hours, so you want to ensure that your job sites have adequate lighting. And again, you want to remove any extra equipment and clutter around your site to make it more efficient. Also ensure that your load is properly secured and that all personnel are away from vehicles before the driver takes off. This is where a lot of Injuries can happen as if a driver isn't fully informed. They can take off and they'll still have people loading trees on the back. That can be a huge safety risk. And if you are working with a change in elevation, again, from the ground to a truck and trailer, you might want to consider a lift for the safety of your employees, as well as to reduce physical injuries. So a recap on all this, again, you want to start with training. That's where you can greatly reduce any hazards as well as unsafe practices. You want to always handle your trees with care because it will, again, increase longevity of the trees. You want to ensure that there is adequate communication between drivers and loaders. You want to provide a well-lit site that's clean, free of clutter. Consider ice cleats for employees during certain periods of time if the weather is unpredictable or if you have an icy or snowy site. And again, also provide other safety equipment if needed. So other available resources for this topic. So this video will be available on YouTube. We'll also be releasing a safe loading practices fact sheet, which will be available next week. And we also had the privilege of working with Farm Safety Nova Scotia this year, and they put together a farm safety work plan that can be customizable for your farm. We have the hard copies as well as I believe that there is a digital copy available. So if you're interested in this, please reach out to myself or Jillian and we can make sure that we get this to you. I also want to let you guys know that we have an in-person Christmas tree grading course available tomorrow. We actually have 2 seats left. So if any of you are interested, please reach out to myself or Jillian and we can get you enrolled in that course. I believe it's on from 9 to 1 for a classroom session and a session in the afternoon in field, if anybody's interested. Here are the resources that were used to produce this presentation, and that is the end of my spiel, and now I will open it up to discussion.